Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sonic from SEGADriven.com here, and welcome to our first video in our Sonic Amateur Games Expo 2017 coverage. In this video we're taking a look at Sonic 2 HD, or to give it its full title, the unofficial Sonic the Hedgehog 2 HD project. Yeah, rolls off the tongue, that one. Cool, right, so Sonic 2 HD, I thought this project was dead, but it's not. The last demo release was 5 years ago, 2012. And since then, we've lost two of the big contributors that you may know as Tom Fry and T-Lopes, who ended up working on Sonic Mania. So, how's it getting on without them? Well, I mean, they weren't exactly project lead, and there are a ton of other contributors to the project, and a lot more now as well. And it would appear that it hasn't really done much to really spoil it in any way whatsoever. So, in this demo, we have two new stages to go alongside the Emerald Hill stage that was previously featured in the 2012 demo, and it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, gameplay-wise, it's pretty good. Like, it's a pretty good facsimile of the original sort of physics and momentum that you'd expect from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's not quite the same. I noticed that you don't carry as much momentum in the really fast sections. Chemical Plant is an obvious offender in this regard. There's a section near the start where I'd normally get enough momentum to make it onto this monitor on the left here and jump up onto the left so that I can go and get that invincibility. But I've never been able to do it in this demo for whatever reason. It's just doesn't seem to carry the same momentum for whatever reason. But it's a minor little niggle there. There's a few bugs I noticed in Hilltop Zone in particular. At one point I just sort of clipped through one of the blocks on these loops instead of actually smashing it, and there was another occasion which I've managed to replicate on every time I played it. So as I sort of launch over to this spring on the right here, I glitch through the wall, and it's just a little bit, doesn't look particularly great. It makes it look a little bit unprofessional. But outside of that, those are the only real complaints, because it plays great, and as you can see, it looks fantastic. I love the art style they've gone for. They're basically sort of aping the airbrushed sort of official Sonic art of the era, and making it, the main look of this game, and it suits it perfectly. It's a gorgeous looking thing, and since the 2012 demo, they've taken a little bit more liberties with the sort of the graphics. Emerald Hill is still very much based on the Emerald Hill tile set of the original game, just obviously drawn in high definition, which is still an amazing effort, don't get me wrong, like, it looks outstanding. But with Chemical Plant and Hilltop Zone, they've actually taken some liberties and added some bits and pieces that I feel make them pop a little bit, and just make them look a little bit more different to Emerald Hill, which, as I've said, looks kind of almost one for one with the original game, obviously just in HD. But yeah, so Chemical Plant has a much more detailed background. I'd say the colours used are perhaps not as best contrasting. So the contrast of the background and the foreground elements cross over quite a bit, and it makes it look very busy, which is not something you have a problem with normally with Sonic artwork. But yeah, I think their additions just make it a little bit too busy. It's not an issue. Like, you're not going to be mistaking background elements for foreground elements, especially because you're more than likely familiar with the original Sonic 2, so you know how the stages play out anyway. But yeah, it's just one of those things I noticed. The Hilltop Zone doesn't suffer from that nearly as much, and one of the things I really like about its additions is when you're in the cave areas, when you get to the bottom where there's lava pits, you sort of see the lava cave extend off into the distance. It's a really nice little touch. Just looks really nice, actually. I really like that. But yeah, this is the main thing with Sonic 2 HD. It is very much a presentation package. It is trying to look as good as possible. I think it achieves that incredibly well. The artwork is fantastic all throughout. There's a couple of things I like as well, like in regards to, I like the stage transitions. Every stage between Act 1 and 2, you now transition, like they join perfectly. You don't have like a a fade to black and then the next stage sort of thing. That only happens between the actual zones. The acts themselves are joined now, and it just looks really nice. But yeah, Sonic 2 HD is a fantastic project. But obviously, the big highlight from this year's Sage. I would highly recommend it. It looks amazing. It plays well as well. Like I say, it's not quite perfect yet. Like I say, the speed in Chemical Plant Zone, I feel like it gets a little bit too much for the games engine. Like for instance, in this section, the camera lags quite heavily behind the character, which is something I'd expect from the original Sonic 2 on the Mega Drive, because, you know, it's a 16-bit system, it doesn't have nearly as much grunt. But for a 2017 HD remake, I'd expect it to be able to keep up a lot better than it does in this. So, yeah, just very minor complaints with this, but I feel like this is a huge improvement over the last demo. I can't stress how amazing it looks. It is a gorgeous looking game, and it does play very well. Regardless of the minor sort of like glitches and bugs I found, it does play pretty solid, and it reacts as you'd expect it to. So yeah, highly recommended. Definitely worth checking out. You can get it all this week. Sage doesn't end until October 7th, so please grab it while you can.